Hello Sweden, hello Sandholm Associates. Heartiest congratulations on your 50th anniversary. Not many companies in the world survive for half a century. It is indeed a big deal. When my dear friend Lars Sorquist invited me to address all of you on the 50th anniversary, it took me no time to accept the invitation. Do you know why? It is because Sweden is my second home and ABBA is still one of my favorite musical groups, and I believe now they are going to unite after 40 years. 3 decades back, I visited Sweden for the first time as a member of Rotary Exchange Program. And during this program, I stayed with several Swedish families in Karlstad, in Karlskoga, in Örebro, in Hallstahammar, Filipstad, Forshaga, and Chill, amongst many other places. The Hermansson family from Karlstad, after that visit, have forever become part of our extended family. Therefore, it is always wonderful when I get an opportunity to reconnect with Sweden. Today, I want to speak to you about the Tata story, which I have chosen to call a race without a finish line. This is the story of the business excellence journey of the Tata Group in India. Over 25 years back, we adopted a business excellence program in the Tata Group. And today, I'm going to share the highlights and insights of those 25 years. So let me start by showing you a short video on the Tata Group. And this video will help you to understand the context and complexity of the group. So here is the video.
In 1868, the Tata Group was founded on a philosophy that put the community at the heart of its existence. Today, we are $100 billion global enterprise. Our today has been built on enduring values. Our today is about delivering excellence across business sectors. Is about building a future-ready nation. Our today has a strong foundation with community at its core. today is dedicated to the communities we serve. Our today is always about more than just today. Our today is a continuous journey for a better tomorrow. Tata. Leadership with trust.
Today, the group stands tall with over 150 years of heritage, a revenue of $106 billion, $123 billion of market cap, and a worldwide human capital of 750,000 employees. As you would have seen in the short video, the group has business interests in diverse sectors like steel, power, automotive, information technology, financial services, infrastructure, aerospace and defense, tourism and travel, consumer and retail, telecom and media. It is often called Salt to Software Group. This group was founded by Mr. Jane Tata, and the Tata's journey over past 150 years have been shaped by founder one philosophy that in a free enterprise, the community is not just another stakeholder in the business, but is in fact the very purpose of its existence. And founder not only gave this purpose statement, but also institutionalized this commitment towards society by pledging their wealth to charitable trusts. And these trusts today own 2/3 of the equity in Tata Sons, which is the investment holding company of the group. So we are therefore an unusual corporate where 66% equity is owned by charitable trusts committed to doing good. Sustainability is therefore at the heart of businesses in the Tata Group. Transform or perish is the reality of today's world. Many of us sitting here watching this presentation would have experienced how large organizations sometimes find it very difficult to transform themselves because they tend to suffer from the baby elephant syndrome. In olden days, in circuses, some of us may have seen baby elephants chained in captivity, and how they find it difficult to overcome the imaginary constraint of those chains. Even after they have grown full size, organizations and countries are no different. They often find it extremely difficult to come out of the paradigm which made them successful in the past. Just to substantiate this logic, I want to share some data with you. In 1955, Fortune 500 companies contributed to about 35% revenue of the total GDP of USA. You can see it in this chart. And in 2015, this figure increased to 72%. Hence, one could argue that large company plays a very important role in the economy of any country. Yet, a 45% mortality rate was observed between 1975 and 1995, and this mortality rate climbed to 57% between 1995 and 2015. You would recall the examples of Blockbuster, Borders, Kodak, A&P, are very sobering reminders of such failures to transform. And you will see worldwide that large and seemingly thriving companies often die overnight. Therefore, transformation is not an option. It is a necessity to be embraced. Now, coming to Tata Group, the Tata Group has been witness to many ups and downs of successful economic cycles, freedom struggles, 2 world wars, and now in the last 25 years, the opening up of Indian economy and its progressive integration into global economy has been one of the greatest challenge. And one could argue that this era of liberalization perhaps presented to Tata Group the most fundamental, even the existential challenge to the group. And after decades of economic protection, the group was suddenly faced with competition from developed market, better quality products, mature supply chains, causing significant disruption across the industries. But coincidentally, in the middle of such disruptions, Mr. Ratan Tata was appointed as the chairman of the group. A successful transformation, wherever you see, anywhere in the world, requires 2 things. 1, a burning platform, and second, a leader who can transform the organization through the turmoil. Fortunately for Tata Group, we had both in place. Economic liberalization as the burning platform and Mr. Ratan Tata, the transformational leader. If you see here in Sweden, the example of SAS turnaround story in 80s under the leadership of Jan Carlson was much the same. So a series of initiatives were taken in Tata Group to institutionalize excellence in a group which was rather fragmented at that point of time. So I'll talk about these series of new initiatives which were taken in the next slide. If you see this slide, this gives you a glimpse of some of the initiatives which were taken. But a large-scale transformation in a large company, it is like a grand orchestra where several instruments have to play simultaneously to create symphony. Similarly, the Tata Group also used many levers to institutionalize the excellence program. And I'm making this point because sometimes people feel that are we doing too many things to make the transformation happen? In Tata Group, similar to Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Program, Tata Group initiated a JRD QV award to create an aspirational goal for excellence. A never-ending business excellence journey was initiated under the Tata Business Excellence Program. We call it TBEM. We believed that in order to make any long-term sustainable change in any organization, some people must spend 100% of their time in managing those change. And therefore, all Tata companies created a new position, a very senior position called Corporate Quality Heads, those who reported directly to CEOs and led the TBM program. Not always that these corporate quality heads were doing only quality work, they doubled up sometimes also, but their job was to lead the change. Brand equity business promotion, very interesting program in Tata Group. And under this program, for using Tata brand, it was made compulsory for companies to adopt Tata Business Excellence model and embark on business excellence journey. Business excellence therefore became the DNA of the group. No one could escape the transformational journey of business excellence. And I think That was a master stroke for institutionalizing excellence across the group. Very often excellence programs are initiated with the ambition of winning awards. And these programs are guided by a few passionate leaders. And when these leaders move out, or when you win the award, excellence often bleeds out of the organization. And therefore, it is important to institutionalize the excellence in any organization. So, in order to sustain and institutionalize the excellence, an expert group called Tata Business Excellence Group was created at the highest level, reporting into Mr. Ratan Tata. And this group is responsible, even today this group is responsible for facilitating business excellence across 100 Tata companies. I was the CEO of this group for over a decade, and in the beginning we adopted a four-pronged approach. Just to avoid too many complications, we realized we need to do few things, but we need to do in a way that excellence can be institutionalized in the group. So number one was maintaining and upgrading standards. So it is necessary for any excellence program to succeed is that you need to adopt some excellence. And in our case, it was development of Tata Business Excellence Model, TBEM. And I'll talk about it in subsequent slides. Developing standards for sustainability, climate change, developing standards for innovation, developing standards for safety. Number two, capability building. Because people are not born with this capability, and these capability, transformation, excellence, quality, often they are not taught in the university. So this training on business excellence for business leaders, for excellence practitioners and TBM assessors were implemented across the group. Number three, diagnostic and assessment. Annual TBEM assessments supplemented by deep dive improvement oriented assessments were initiated, were institutionalized. And finally, one of the most important initiative is best practice sharing through knowledge platforms, through learning missions, through webinars, through external relationships. So these four things were done, and I'll briefly take you through these initiatives one by one. The TBM model is fashioned on the lines of Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award of the USA. And in early days, we learned unabashedly from the Baldrige program. TBM has changed the very definition of quality in the group. Earlier, I'm talking about early 90s, the understanding of quality was associated with quality of products or services, or simply meeting the requirements of internal or external customer. This single stakeholder view of quality was often known as small q. Now, quality means a lot more than small q. Quality means managing expectations of multiple stakeholders by continuously improving organizational management systems, which includes governance system, leadership system, supply chain, customer management, human resources, etc., etc. And this view of quality is known as big Q, quality in everything that we do. This big Q quality focuses on developing a culture of continuous improvement and innovation in everything we do. It also means remaining ahead of competition all the time. But the highest level of quality goes beyond big Q, and this is embedded in Tata Group's byline, which is leadership with trust, which means managing quality by doing right things, which evokes trust amongst all stakeholders. TBM changed the language and vocabulary adopted by Tata companies. We adopted a lot of new vocabulary after embarking on the TBM journey. And soon after its adoption, people started talking about benchmarking, they started talking about strategy planning, customer centricity, lag measures, lead measures, fact-based decision making, employee engagement, maturity of processes, and continuous improvement, etc., etc., which was not so much heard in the past. But the most critical part of the Tata Business Excellence model was to continuously evolve, and this demanded a very high level of performance from all our companies. You can see in this slide that over a period of time, we integrated a number of thrust areas in the Tata Business Excellence model. So at one point of time, globalization was an important issue for the group. So we integrated globalization with the model. Climate change, obviously it's a global issue. We integrated climate change, we integrated innovation, we integrated safety, data maturity, and customer value creation over a period of time with this business excellence model. So now business excellence model takes care of all the requirements of the group as far as transformation is concerned, and all group level priorities can be driven through this single initiative rather than creating multiple structures, multiple initiatives, multiple excellence centers, etc., etc. This also helped in a big way that we could get deeper involvement of the group, because through one initiative, one umbrella, we were able to give the feedback to the board of directors of various companies, and that was very, very useful. So I will now talk about capability building, and as you can see in this slide, we created a number of training programs, and we realized that training was absolutely critical for changing mindsets and building capability within the organizations. And therefore, companies were literally carpet bombed with trainings. No one was excused. Every year, we train over 3,000 managers to become examiners. And this went on and on and on for decades. And today, we have a pool of over 20,000 trained examiners who can look at the business in a more holistic manner. And now TBM training is no longer just a training, but it has become an essential part of leadership development. If you have not undergone TBM training, if you have not done TBM assessment, if you have not participated in TBM activity, if you have not led TBM program, then your leadership journey can be jeopardized. So here is the next slide, and you can see here the number of Tata companies that have been assessed over a period of time on the TBM journey. And this is an indicator of how companies are constantly assessing their performance year after year and creating a virtuous cycle of assessment and improvement. And this has become a part of DNA of Tata Group, a learning DNA. If you want the Tata Group to learn anything, you assess, you tell them what's good, bad, and ugly, and then the improvement will start. So there is a huge amount of acceptance for the outcomes of assessment, and that serves as a platform for making improvements. You can see in the last 25 years, almost 800 plus TBM assessments have been carried out and by over 6,000 assessors. A mammoth exercise which has literally changed the DNA of the group. Very often companies change initiatives like flavor of the month, and that unfortunately is the biggest pitfall. So staying on course was a big strategy for Tata Group, and it did help. During early days, TBM assessments used to present a plain vanilla category-wise report and score. And we all must have seen these category-wise report and score. The language of the feedback used to be very defensive, used to be benign, and people used to hesitate in giving hard-hitting messages. But as the maturity of the companies went up, their desire to get harder feedback became higher, and they started expecting more from the feedback report. And therefore, we initiated a new feedback system, which is a key theme driven feedback, which means a specialized feedback for different businesses. But now companies and their boards want also comment on the quality and robustness of their strategies. And this is the tough one. Assessors were quite capable of giving comment on the process of developing or execution of strategy. But commenting on the robustness of strategy was a difficult one. And so what we did, we introduced a concept of a mentor. And these mentors are normally the CEOs of other Tata companies who joined the assessment team to specially study the strategy of the company and provide comments on the strategy to the board and to the CEO. So the journey of improvement, this is a very well-known chart. This has been used famously by the Baldrige program called Baldrige Ladder for measuring business excellence maturity for Tata companies. And each step in this chart has become a milestone for the journey to excellence in the Tata Group. If you look at the next chart, this chart, the chart shows how Group has advanced on the excellence journey despite absorbing a number of companies through acquisition, through strategic alliance on the way. So while the journey was going on, the Tata Group acquired a number of overseas companies, and here you can see that the group scored improved 2.5 times in the last 25 years, and it goes and on and on and on. To take a slightly deeper insight into these scores, if you see the time frame of 94 to 99, which was the early stages of the journey. At that time, 98% of our 100 companies were below 500 score on the Baldrige scale. And today, this has reduced to 18%. So there is huge improvement. In 94 to 95 time frame, only 2% companies were industry leaders. That is 600 plus on the Baldrige scale. Today we have 40% can be considered as industry leader. And this journey goes on. And this is an indicator that business excellence is progressing in the group. I'm coming now to the best practice. The best practice sharing is a very, very important step to my mind in a large group like Tata, because we wanted to shorten the learning curve of each company. So it was very, very important that companies do not reinvent the wheel. And therefore, knowledge portals were created. We have always believed in learning from the best, and learning missions have served us very, very well. We took learning missions all over the world to capture best practices from the role model companies on business excellence, on innovation, on sustainability, and wherever these practices were good, we went there. We learned. We kind of used to say that steal best practices shamelessly. So that was the motto of our business excellence journey. But one thing which Mr. Ratan Tata said and we all practiced kept us in the right direction all the time. And Mr. Ratan Tata said that to make quality a way of life in any business, it is necessary to create a right culture. And this can only happen by leadership driving quality from the front and embedding quality in the matrices of organizational performance. You know, I'll take 1 minute on the matrices, because matrices are very, very important. Sometimes organizations embark on the quality journey, but they don't change the matrices. And matrices are the silent killers. They drive the behavior. And therefore, you may want to people to behave in a particular manner, but if matrices are not aligned, they will not allow people to move in that direction. And that's why it's very important to embed quality in the matrices of organizational performance. And thus the role of leadership, to my mind, can never be overstated. And Mr. Tata very rightly emphasized right in the beginning that this journey is not about awards. It is not about winning plaques and accolades. It's about institutionalizing approaches to drive performance excellence. So I would like to play a small clip of Mr. Tata, and let's see what was his thought, what he thinks about the business excellence journey in the group.
How does one nurture excellence in a group with over 100 companies?
When we started this movement in '95, we started this as a means of trying to enunciate and create a formal focus for business excellence. And it is to the credit of the people who put this whole movement together and doggedly pursued this, that it's soon got to be seen as the vehicle for business excellence.
Only through perseverance can one achieve excellence. The quest is never ending. There is much more to be done.
From where we are today, we can move to a new and a much higher plane if we accept the fact that we need to be bolder, more innovative, and more creative in what we do than we have been.
So Mr. Tata used to keep raising the bar all the time, from excellence to innovation, as you have seen in this video. We also realized, and this is a fact, that companies that are market leaders and businesses that are globally successful have one thing in common, and that is they think, they aspire, they question, they experiment, they dream, they dare, and most importantly, they innovate. And this stimulated us to look at innovation as a strategic approach to grow internationally. We looked at mega trends in the world. We visited the most innovative companies in the world, especially in US and Japan. We picked the minds of the masters of innovation and then shaped our innovation journey. And there are three aspects in the innovation journey. One was how to create big ideas, how to create Tata ideas, how to create or identify challenges worth solving. Now, innovation doesn't take place because of small ideas. They take place because of big, hairy, audacious goals. And then we institutionalized process for executing these big ideas and also recognizing people for successes and failure on the way. So let's see what this innovation program, what kind of impact has it made on the group. So number one, in the last, I would say a decade or so, the number of patents have doubled to almost 7,000 in the Tata Group. The program, the whole innovation program is delivering benefits, or you can say returns, of around $1.8 billion per year. These are the projects which are undertaken across the group, and the audited benefit is all roughly $1.8 billion every year. Huge amount. And some people also benefited, and on a personal front, I had the privilege to address Future of Energy platform in Harvard Business School in 2010 and talk about the innovation journey, talk about the nano car, how Tata's created the nano car through the process of innovation. Business Week recognized me as one of the 25 masters of innovation in the world in 2009. And one of the, I would say, special program that we launched under innovation was Dare to Try. And this was done to stimulate intelligent risk-taking. And I would like to talk about this signature program. And this signature program was got a lot of attention in Harvard Business School or Business Week or anywhere because this was something very, very unique. And it really got worldwide attention. Every organization knows that risk-taking is critical for fostering innovation. Yet, they don't know how to promote risk in a credible and practical manner. How can creative or intelligent risk be encouraged selectively? Now that's a big question, because the moment you say risk-taking, people feel that you are encouraging underperformance, you are encouraging failures. No, it is not. You are encouraging intelligent risk-taking in the group. And in Tata Group, we experimented by introducing an award called Dare to Try in our innovation recognition program to promote innovation, intelligent risk-taking. And under this category, individuals and teams are recognized for failed innovation. But failed innovation arising out of bold experimentation. If you are supposed to make donut and if you fail in making donut, then nobody is going to give you a plaque. You will get something different. But if you fail because you have done some bold experimentation, because you have done something very different, then that effort is recognized in the group. So teams and individuals are publicly recognized and encouraged to learn from the failure, and failures arising out of intelligent or bold experimentations are celebrated. Now, this has helped in a big way. Number one, people used to sweep the failure under the carpet because failure is frowned upon in the corporate culture. But this program allowed people to bring the failure, to discuss the failure, to learn the failure without blaming anyone. And this kind of helped the organization to move from a blame-worthy culture to a learn-worthy culture. So now let's see what has been the impact of all these programs that I talked about in the last almost half an hour. How has it helped Tata Group, the excellence program, the innovation program? And I must qualify that not only these programs that helped Tata Group to propel into a new orbit, but there were many other things which were going on. But I would imagine that these programs also played its role in the growth and development of the Tata Group. So if you see this slide, the business, I would like to believe, and I won't be wrong in making this statement, that the business excellence program has over a time created capabilities within Tata companies to compete successfully both in domestic and international markets. In the last decade and a half, Tata Group has made some strategic investments and acquisitions of global brands, some of which are presented here in this slide. And you can see that the most noteworthy is Jaguar Land Rover. During the same period, and it's a continuation of the last slide, during the same period, Tatas have achieved domestic and global leadership in many businesses. And you can see on the right hand side of this slide that Tatas have a business which is the largest international voice and data carrier, which is called Tata Communications, largest IT service provider, which is well known as TCS, second largest tea company in the world after we acquired Tetley Tea, and so on and so forth. So let's look at then and now. In the last 25 years, the Tata Group has grown 25 times. Huge. 25 times, 25 years. The group, which was predominantly India-based, and you can see in 1994, predominantly India-based, today has significant global footprint. Today, our international revenue is almost 65% of the total group revenue of $106 billion. The brand survey has continuously showed Tatas as one of the India's most valuable brands. So these are some of the mega changes that have taken place in the last 25 years, and we are really proud of being part of this journey. Let me come back to Baldrige for a moment, and sometimes people ask question, what are the benefits of business excellence program? How does it impact the companies? And these questions are asked everywhere. I'm sure you would have heard many times in your organizations. So some time back, the Baldrige carried out a cost-benefit analysis of adopting Malcolm Baldrige criteria. And the benefits are really enormous, as you can see here, that the direct saving to organization is almost 3 times. The financial benefit due to increased customer satisfaction is 107 times, and the benefit to overall economy is almost 820 times. These are staggering numbers. You don't need to write algorithms to prove that business and business excellence go hand in hand. So let's look at some of the now lessons learned by us during the race without a finish line, and my presentation will not be complete without talking about these lessons. So the first lesson: don't wait until you are ready. Many companies suffer from this syndrome. Sometimes the leader will feel that the business is not doing well. Sometimes there is a leadership change. Sometimes they feel that market forces are not favorable, and so on and so forth. So they will keep postponing the journey to excellence. But let me tell you, there is never a right time to initiate a journey. And there is never a dearth of reason why people want to postpone the journey to excellence. But the fact is, there is never a good time, and therefore we should not get into these conversations whether it is right time or not a right time. We should just remember Nike. Just do it. Whenever you want to start, just do it. Lesson number 2, very important lesson, that leadership needs to walk the talk. And it sounds very simple. It sounds, what's new about it? But the fact is, without this, excellence transformation will not take place. And as I have said earlier, the role of leadership in the transformation process cannot be overemphasized. I have not seen a successful and a sustainable transformation without visible and active involvement of leadership. During the 25 years of excellence journey, we have come across 4 leadership behaviors, and I'm sure you will relate to 1 or 2 of these, and we found 4 types of behavior. Number 1, leaders who are cynical. Their perpetual excuse is that these things will never work in our company, in our environment. We are different. These can work in manufacturing, in services, here, there, but not in our organization. And you must have come across these leaders in your journey, and they are hard nuts to crack. Number 2, those who think it is not my agenda. So they are quite low in their commitment, and they are passively resistant to the change process. When they come to the conference rooms or in front of their bosses, they'll absolutely say the right things and support all the transformational agenda and the initiatives. But when they go back to their work, they say completely opposite things, and they'll discourage you to participate in the transformation program. Number 3, there are people who will make a lot of noise, lot of motion, but there will be no movement. There will be no journey. So they will keep talking about it. There will be a lot of actions, but they don't have the capability to lead the transformation. And finally, we have the evangelists, the early adopters, whom we all love. The leadership challenge is not to fire everyone, but the leadership challenge is to convert dysfunctional managers into evangelists. And that is something which is a very important part of the excellence journey. Next, communicate. There is nothing called over communication. Everyone in the organization needs to understand why and how of transformation and his or her personal role in the entire journey. Great companies, they carpet bomb the organization with the message why we need to change, so that no one is in any sort of doubt and there is no resistance. It will never be no resistance, least resistance in the company. The next learning, also, this is interesting. The business excellence template, a framework, is like a navigation system. And imagine if you want to undertake a journey, if you want to drive somewhere, unknown places, what do you need? A navigation system, a Google map or any other map. Similarly, if you want to become religious, what do you need to do? You need to adopt a religion, any religion, and perform its rituals. Similarly, Baldrige, EFQM, Deming, TBM, or any such framework serve as a navigation system for the business excellence journey. And these are necessary framework, necessary templates to keep you on the right track. One can say, can we not undertake a journey without the framework, without TBM, without Baldrige? Of course, you can drive from one place to another place, unknown place, without a navigation system also. But imagine the trials and tribulations that you will have to face in order to reach your destination. The next one is the framework. Baldrige, EFQM, Deming, TBM, they are just an insight provider. Great companies use a number of solution providers along with these insight providers. And these solution providers are like Six Sigma, ISO 9000, CMMI, PCMM, Lean, etc., to make continuous or breakthrough improvements. It is, let me bring a golf metaphor. This is much like a game of golf where the framework helps you to understand the journey from tee off to the 18th hole in the game of golf. But various clubs in this chart, various clubs are required at different points of time, at different difficulty situation to play your game excellently. So these clubs are like quality tools, and the framework are like, it gives you a navigation journey from good to great. So these were some of the learnings that we had, and we were continuously during the last 25 years and even now worked closely with Baldrige Foundation, Baldrige program, and they took note of how Tatas have implemented Baldrige-like framework globally in their group. And I'm thankful to them that in 2015, Malcolm Baldrige Foundation appointed me as the first non-American member on its board. But before I come to the end of my presentation, I would like to play a short video of George Benson. George Benson is the immediate past chair of the Baldrige Foundation, and he takes keen interest in business excellence journey, and especially that of Tata business excellence journey. Let's see what George has to say.
And when I really dug into the Tata situation and what Tata's doing, I said, oh my gosh, they've actually started to do some of these things. We're not doing them here in the United States. They're doing them. That was exciting. So that motivated me even more. What's been achieved has been incredible. You can take one company and apply the Baldrige criteria over a number of years, but to keep it going beyond 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years is really a challenge. But now you talk about taking upwards of 100 companies, including subsidiaries and so forth, with Tata, and keep that going for 25 years, that's remarkable. This is world class. Tata is a role model that we all should be looking to.
So, ladies and gentlemen, with this, I come to the end of my presentation. Thank you once again for the opportunity to share our story. I wish you all exciting days ahead for learning and sharing, and I hope that you will have lots of takeaways from these few days when you are listening to number of people coming from different parts of the world. So good luck and God bless.